one of these players that we saw tonight, or today, I should say, is going to be, I don't want to say important, but they're going to need something for one of these guys, right?
So there's one guy, and it's Luke Kornet.
Look at that smile.
Here we go. Everybody drink.
And unfortunately,
how many minutes in?
Absolute pause, that little subtle. Yeah, I mean.
Unfortunately, he didn't.
Though, Bobby, that first quarter, dare I say, a young rim protector in the making almost. A couple blocks. I mean.
I see it. Again, I want him back next year badly.
This has to be in short stints to really to get the most out of it, but it's promising. I give you that.
He has
on that end of the floor.
He has 14 blocks in his last 7 appearances, and we know he's only playing 10.
I love Bobby's small sample sizes. The guy is 4.
Not even
the guy's 4 out of 6.
That's actually.
That's actually his last 5 from 3-point range. He's an 80% 3-point shooter.
No, that's not the same.
This guy.
That's the same. That's the exact opposite of that. This is him playing small sample size and getting a ton of blocks, which is actually impressive. More impressive than if he shot 4 threes and made 3. So. Again, like Josue said, he can protect the rim. He can move his feet. He can rotate on defense. The problem is that he's wide open from 3 every single time, and he can't hit it, which is actually the opposite of what people were expecting from him.
See, that was my problem for Grant in the first half, but then he hit a couple in the second. So I'm like, all right. But either way, when he does the fake, which he gets a lot of people with, sometimes it's like you have to hit that step-in shot, you know? Like, it's tough because if not, defensively, like, you're lost out there.
No, but if you play Embiid round 1, you're going to need Kornet to play a little bit. Maybe it's Taco. Sure.
Absolutely.
Again, I don't know, but you'll need
everyone's playing all those bits.
You're not going to be playing Grant against Embiid. Now, meanwhile, if it's Brooklyn, you're not going to play any center probably. You're going to want to go small and match those small lineups with them. So at that point, it's like, what wing can you pick out here? Could it be Nesmith? Could it be Ojale? Could it be 3 guards with Pritchard? I don't know. But at that point, if Rob's hobbled, you don't want any center on the court against Brooklyn. So those are the kind of guys you're looking at today. Unfortunately, John, Romeo had a good game, but just fouling. A few key miscues, few misses inside. He just had
You're not counting on anything from Romeo, but I texted you those couple of times, and again, I'm not deluded here. Romeo's not making an impact if they get into the playoffs and play an actual series. He might play a couple of bench minutes if you need some defense on the wing with Jalen out. Sure, fine. Just those moments where he is aggressive, he takes it to the hole. He had that really nice finishes. I just don't know why that couldn't be a thing. You know, his jumper is not right, and it might never be, or it's in development still. But I don't know, bad shape, his head's not there, lack of focus, playing with people who don't trust him. I have no idea what it is, but just two seasons down the tubes. We're kicking it to next year with Romeo and a full off season, hopefully healthy, and say, all right, dude, do something, and if he doesn't, he's toast. This is, otherwise there's no reason to talk about him. There's no reason to talk about him.
We knew for the most part that was going to happen, John.
But we thought it was an audition.
File this off to the list of shit that you hated about this season.
Well, the good news is he should be healthy. He should be healthy going into next season because he's probably not going to sniff a minute going forward here. So unless he, falls off a cliff.
Just like your mic's a little in and out. But can you check the connection on your mic? I'm getting a couple. It sounds like you're hitting and missing a little.
You know who else would be interesting for Brooklyn? Jabari Parker. Jabari Parker's another guy I'm thinking about when it comes to that Brooklyn series. Again, I know we look at the whole roster that played today and say, hopefully none of these guys are doing much in the playoffs. But if Brown's down, that means one person has to step up off the bottom of the roster. I think we hope it's Nesmith. I don't think he's particularly locked himself into that position yet, especially with his inexperience. So if you put a guy like Parker at the center spot and spread some wings around there.
Nesmith in the playoffs. Yeah, 9:00.
What the hell?
In the playoffs really freaks me out because of the fouling. The last thing you can do is get into the bonus friggin' 4 minutes into a quarter because Nesmith, just is being aggressive. Like, that stuff's cute in the regular season and it earns you minutes because everyone's like, oh, look, he's trying. But in the playoffs, you can't just friggin' run into people, you 5 fouls every 19 minutes he plays is way too friggin' much. So if
that's your worry, we're going with Semi.
Well, that's what stinks is if you're trying to minimize damage versus hit home runs, then I honestly believe if they entered the playoffs and Jalen was healthy, they should have, and they had no Rob, they should have cut the cord and gone small and just did their best. You can't do that against an Embiid team, but you could have done it against Brooklyn, and I would have said go for it. I don't know what you do here. You're right. You're trying to like minimize damage, stay in the game, give yourself a puncher's chance. If some shots fall, keep it close enough. And so you need to like not give the other team a ton of free throws, a ton of open looks. You need people who aren't going to.
Well, you wish you had more.
Aren't going to F up.
Well, you wish you had more answers right now. I know most of us agreed that if they went into the playoffs, you don't want to see the experimentation continue. You want to just kind of stick with something and hope to build on it through some ups and downs. When you think about how all the young guys and the lower roster players ended the regular season, you almost got no answers. Like Neesmith had that little stretch and then he kind of tailed off in terms of production. And then everybody was just playing equal amounts once Brown went down in terms of opportunity late. So I don't think Brad learned anything in terms of stuff he can trust here. It might just go back to Ojeleye because he's been here the longest.
I'm afraid of it, and I've been afraid of it, the whole time. So I don't really know.
If they're going against Brooklyn, you might end up seeing.
I'm afraid of a lot of Grant, a lot of Semi, and a little bit of Neesmith, which with a really short leash, really short.
The best way the Celtics really stop the bleeding most of the time, though, right? I mean, that's the problem, especially against a team like the Brooklyn Nets. That's sort of been Brad's binky in a way, but like the other side of that, especially offensively, I think that's what worries everyone, and then obviously the consistency. I mean, Shemi, sometimes you're getting melted.
It's too bad, yeah.
Starts like we talked about it before. Like, okay, the start where Shemi comes in and he plays like 7 minutes because Brad's like, I don't need him. He's not giving me anything tonight.
What is this? His fourth season?
You can't afford that in the playoffs. Like
who's fourth season?
Ojeleye.
I think honestly, I think he's been here like 15 years.
It's his fourth.
Yeah, yeah, he's 42. Actually,
now that we're getting the playoff time, and you got to find some guys you can trust, you would have thought he would be that guy. And if he's just right there with everybody else, even though he's been here 4 years at this point, which is so tough. So you're right, John. You can't look at him as that reliable, stable piece because he's just like everybody else. He'll go 2 for 7 from the field and he won't foul. But what's that balance at that point?
I don't know. I don't envy Brad. I don't envy Brad.
This is why the fire Brad thing's tough. Like, who is going to manage this well?
Again, it's not a matter of
Parker because you need something to counter that. Like you need some sort of offensive, something off your bench because when the offense goes stale, like forget it. They're gonna get run out the gym because the defense is not there.
Either way, we're getting ahead of ourselves because they got to win this
Brad
game
stuff,
first.
Bobby, is based off of mainly one is emotional overreactions to just I don't know what I got to blame something. Brad's there. Fire him. There's only one reason to fire him, and that's if we find out after the season that the players don't want to play for him anymore.
That's it.
Anything short of that, then everyone trying to say, why does he do this? Why does he do that? Who the F else is he going to play? It was a shit season, and no matter who was coming up, it's like I always compare it to like a baseball bullpen. If you're down 3 runs and you're bringing in the back end of your bullpen, all of those guys suck. And everybody looks at the manager and is like, why are you bringing that? That's who I've got. I can't pitch the same guy every single day. I can't play my starters 45 minutes. These are the players I have. Every time no matter who you bring in, roll through all of the names. Tell me who makes you happy. Romeo, Semi, Grant, Javante, Taco. Like it doesn't.
Oh, I miss Javante. They could have used Javante.
Every one of those guys, when they would come in, you're like, ugh, not that guy. Like it's got to be somebody. There's just they all suck.
What's funny? What's funny? The 3 guys they need right now are Jeff Teague, Javante Green, and Daniel Tice.
I know. Think how good they'd be.
Yeah. We're totally not talking about the 7 seed.
Yeah. So no, and again, there's a comment here. Just because team sucks doesn't mean I agree. It doesn't mean Brad is blameless. All I'm saying is the main reason. Right now, everyone's pointing to Brad because of stuff like rotations and who he's playing. And the thing,
there has been some question marks with the rotations and guys he's turned to. But ultimately, yes. I mean, he has to use with what he's got to work with. So at some point, your Brad blame has to go to Danny blame and so on and so forth. So
no, but we had some of it. No, I mean, we agreed. Like we wish he did. He was more consistent. We wish he just said.
Oh, he was slow to some decisions too, like the Rob stuff and you know things like that. I mean, the Neesmith stuff. Like it was weird how players would go from the starting lineup to, DNPs for like 4 games in a row. Like that was definitely weird. Like the extreme swings.
I hated that.
The extreme swings were something that I think you can definitely blame Brad on. But in terms of like who he's bringing in, I think most of the time he didn't really have a choice. Yeah, there was the random like Tremont Waters game where it's like, why is he in? But for the most part, it's like, this is what he has to work with. Now, yeah, he could maybe delegate the minutes a little bit differently or turn to guys sooner. But overall, I don't know another coach out there that could, make a miracle happen out of this roster.
It's not. It's just whether or not. And again, everyone's saying, a lot of things that make sense. Go ahead, Josue.
If Jaylen Brown, if he's still healthy, though, I think we're having a different conversation, right? I mean, like now it's like, oh well, yeah, you have to sort of get really creative now because this is it. I mean, you're losing two big players in your starting lineup in Robert Williams and also obviously the other All-Star next to Jason Tatum. So I mean, that's what I think most Celtics fans are thinking about now. But we can't forget that 3 weeks ago we still weren't feeling great about Brad Stevens and his rotations. Like we still were sort of questioning his direction in some of these games,